and I've watched it so many times where I just wore the disc out and I had to get another one. What's up guys, welcome back to Superhero Legacy. My name is Liam, and in today's video I wanted to do a top 10 of my most rewatched superhero movies. I'm sure you all know that I love superheroes and I watch these movies like all of the time, so much to the point where I own like every single Marvel and DC movie that has ever been released on Blu-ray. What can I say? I admire these characters so much. It's my favorite movie genre, and I just find myself always watching these kinds of movies. This is the impact that these characters have on me. They're my comfort, they're my rock, they're who I lean on. I love these characters so much. They inspire me. They've become such an important part of who I am in my life. So when I constructed this list of my top 10 most rewatched superhero movies, I took into account a lot of different factors. Now there are some reasons why I wouldn't watch a movie over and over again. If a movie is like emotionally heavy, if it's sad like Logan, it's a great movie, but I don't find myself watching it all that time because it's such a heavy movie. The second thing that factors in is of course runtime. There are a lot of movies that are really good but are just too long to rewatch. Like The Batman is an incredibly good movie, but it's just too long and I don't find myself watching it over and over again because of that runtime. Now there are some exceptions on this list. I've included some movies that are a little lengthy, but they're so good that I just watch them no matter what kind of runtime they have. Also, a movie's just gotta be good. I mean, I'm not gonna sit down and pop in a movie that's garbage. I'm not gonna rewatch a bad movie. It has to be good. Another component of rewatchability for me is it's just gotta be fun. It's gotta be entertaining. It's gotta be just something that puts a smile on my face that I just enjoy and have a lot of fun when watching. It also helps if a movie is fast paced, so if it moves quick, if it doesn't feel long, if it has a lot of exciting moments, if it has a lot of good action, that is something that will make me return to a movie a lot of times and watch it over again. But let's go ahead and jump into my list. Before I begin, I'm going to give some honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is The Suicide Squad. It's just fun, entertaining. It has this unique style that James Gunn imprints on it, and yeah, I just find myself watching this movie a lot. It's fun. My second honorable mention is Aquaman. I know it's not a great movie. It's cheap, it's cringy, it's corny, but when I just want to sit down, have fun, and like want to turn off my brain and watch something that's at least entertaining, I'm gonna put on Aquaman. I also have Captain America Civil War because it's just a good movie. It's got a good story, it has realistic stakes, it has awesome characters, great action. It's just all around a good movie. I also have Ragnarok as an honorable mention, the most rewatchable Thor movie by far. It's just a lot of fun, it's colorful, the humor lands a lot more for me than Thor Love and Thunder, and it's just a nice change of pace for the character of Thor. My last honorable mention is The Dark Knight. This is just a great movie. I watch this movie quite frequently, but it is kind of lengthy. It has its slow moments, and it's a movie that actually requires like heavy, deep thought. Like you really have to think about this movie, and sometimes I don't want that when I rewatch a movie. But with those out of the way, my number 10 on my list for my most rewatched superhero movies of all time is going to be Age of Ultron. I really do like this movie, and I do not understand the hate. I rewatch this movie a lot just because I really find Ultron a compelling villain for me. He's a lot of fun. It's also cool that it's the 6 original core Avengers that we're seeing in this movie. Like when we get to Infinity War and Endgame, the whole team, the whole Avengers team is just everyone in the universe, and even right now you don't even know who the Avengers are really. So it's cool going back to see the original Avengers kind of working together as a team. I really want that again. I realize that this movie has a few issues, like the Hulk Black Widow romance doesn't really work for me, and it's doing a lot like trying to juggle Ultron, bringing us Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, which that's also a bad thing in this movie. I don't know why they killed Quicksilver off in a stupid way like that, but it's also trying to set up the Infinity Saga with all of the stones and everything. We're getting Vision. It is doing a lot of things, so I understand that it has its problems, but one of the main reasons I rewatch this movie a lot is because I think it has some of the best action in the entire MCU. This movie is just riddled with exciting, well choreographed action from start to end, and all of it just makes it fast-paced, exciting, and keeps you entertained. And if a movie has good action and a lot of it, then I'll sit down and rewatch it. In ninth place, I've got Avengers Endgame. Now this is one of those exceptions because it is a long movie. It is about 3 hours long, but I think that just proves how good the movie actually is. And there are many times where I just want to sit down and put this movie in, fast forward to the end and watch that final battle, but I end up just watching the entire movie anyway. But this really is the end of an era, and it truly feels like a proper conclusion to the Infinity Saga. It doesn't actually have a lot of action, and it's because it's a character-driven movie. It spends so much time going back to our original 6 Avengers and giving them time and giving them closure, fleshing them out, and that's why the movie is really good. Thanos is also a good villain, and the time travel stuff is just fun to see. So although it is a long movie, I find myself watching it a lot of times. And then that epic final battle, it's just too good. Coming in 8th place is a movie that maybe a lot of you have not watched, but I highly recommend it. It is Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox. This is a DC animated movie, so because of that, it's like 90 minutes long. It's very short, so when I don't have a lot of time and I want to watch something, I'll put it in just because it really is a good movie. In fact, I think it's one of the best DC movies, live action, animation, period. And it's based off of the Flashpoint comic, which is really good. And I don't know, this movie is just like what DC could be. Like when DC was always failing in the live action stuff, and when I wanted to watch something great from DC, this was the movie I put on. First off, the main character is the Flash, and I don't think there's a lot of movies out there that have a focus on the Flash, so it's cool seeing him at the focal point. But at its core, it's a story about learning to accept the things that you can't change. It's an awesome alternate reality movie where you get to see all of these crazy twists on the characters of the Justice League and the members of the DC universe. It's got great action, great characters, it's got a good story, the Reverse Flash is in it, and one of the reasons why I rewatch it a lot is because it's darker, it's more realistic, and it's more mature, and I like that about it. So this is a movie that I rewatch quite frequently because of its runtime, but also just because it's a great DC movie. Coming in at number 7 is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now I know this movie came out only like 4 months ago. It's a fairly new movie, and you might be wondering how many times I've watched this movie, and I've watched it a lot. It's a really good movie, and that's why I keep putting it on and watching it over and over again. I saw this movie like 5 or 6 times in the movie theater, and then when it came out on Blu-ray, I got it and watched it like 3 or 4 more times. It's just a really good movie, and every time I finish watching it, it just makes me feel a certain way. It's so emotional, and I get so invested into these characters that I just want to watch it again after it's over. I feel like there's not a lot of superhero movies out there that really make you invest and connect to the characters as much as James Gunn does. I've just grown to love the Guardians so much. I love the characters, and it's the reason why I keep coming back to them. So yeah, I've watched this movie a lot of times, and I'm only gonna rewatch it more, so that's why this is on the list. Number 6 for me is gonna be Into the Spider-Verse. This is one of the best, not only Spider-Man movies, but one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's got everything I really want to see. It's got great animation, the characters are really good. Spider-Man is one of my all-time favorite superheroes, so I loved seeing him portrayed in this way. I love that it focused on Miles and these other versions of Spider-Man that are not as common. This movie is just unique, fresh, and I think it's the most accurate comic book movie that could be ever told because it is animated. The character development is so strong, the music is iconic, and this is just a movie I find myself watching so many times because it's fun, it's lighthearted, and it's a good movie. Coming in at number 5 is going to be The Avengers. I love this movie so much. When I just want to sit down and watch something fun, something entertaining, something that'll put a smile on my face, this is the movie that I go to. Whenever I see it, this film just takes me back to the first time I saw it, and just seeing all of these amazing characters come together for the very first time was truly revolutionary at the time. It was just a dream come true for superhero fans, seeing them all like interact with each other, fighting against Loki, and then that epic final battle. It's just too good, and this is just a movie I find myself watching a lot just because it's just pure fun. It's not too complex. You don't have to think a lot. It's just a movie where you can just sit down and enjoy your time with it. Number 4 on my list is going to be Deadpool. I freaking love this movie so much. I watch it all the time because I genuinely think it is the funniest superhero movie that's been made, for me at least. Ryan Reynolds was born to play this role. It's unique, it's something different. The fourth wall breaking is perfect. The low budget helped it out by keeping it small scale, innocent, and safe. This movie is just a blast to watch because the humor lands, it's got good action, the runtime isn't too long, and I think it being rated R makes it new and different, and I like seeing that kind of stuff. It's creative, it's witty, and I can always rely on this movie to make me laugh. It's just a nice standalone movie that you can just sit down, relax, enjoy, and have a good time with. Alright, so we're down to my top 3 most rewatched superhero movies of all time. number 3 on my list is going to be The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I get it, I understand, it has problems, it has its mistakes, but I think the good far outweigh the bad, and I watch this movie so much because of how accurate it is to Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield is my generation, he's my Spider-Man. I grew up with him, I do think he is the best, and I adore this movie so much. I think that there's just this unique style that Mark Webb has. He's not afraid to lean into those more serious, darker moments, but he's also really good balancing that tone, that wittiness of Spider-Man, and then of course Andrew Garfield brings a lot to the table. Of course, this movie is trying to do too much too fast, but I don't know, overall, generally speaking, I think this movie is the most visually appealing Spider-Man movie. The swinging action is really good. The death of Gwen Stacy was executed perfectly, had good action. The chemistry between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield was unmatched. And I think that's one of the things that really stands out to me about this movie is that Spider-Man is supposed to be a romantic character, and some people forget that about him, and they fully explored that kind of perspective of this character. Mark Webb was not afraid to lean into that romance between Gwen Stacy and Andrew Garfield and how important that duality, that dynamic was for this film. I just love this movie a lot. I rewatch it all of the time because there's just something special to me about Andrew Garfield and the Amazing Spider-Man movies. This is the Spider-Man that I grew up with. It always will hold a special spot in my heart, and I'll always defend it. He is the most accurate version of Peter Parker Spider-Man that I think there is, and he's got the most comic accurate suit. But moving on, coming in at number 2 is going to be Avengers Infinity War. I mean, why would I not want to watch this movie again? Why would anyone not want to watch this movie over and over again? It's just epic, and this is what I think of when I think of peak Marvel. I watch this movie at least like 2 or 3 times a year. It's just so good. This is one of those rare occasions where it lived up to the hype. It had 10 years of build-up and it was perfectly executed. All of the character interactions, Thanos is really good. The action is amazing. The way they balanced all of these incredible characters, and then the end, of course, when they lost was unique and different, and all of those moments and epic scenes that I see when I rewatch the movie just take me back to the first time I saw it in the movie theater, and just seeing all my friends next to me and all of the people around me getting up and cheering and clapping during the awesome scenes. This is just a once in a lifetime experience, and I watched this movie so many times because it is really good. It's a little bit on the longer side. It's like 2.5 hours, but it keeps you invested in it because the story is good. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of fun things going on. I just don't think that Marvel will ever make it to these heights again, and that's the reason why I go back and rewatch this so much, because it truly does feel like history was made during this movie. And yeah, I just rewatch this movie a lot. It's just awesome. But coming in number 1 for me, my most all-time rewatched superhero movie, not even just superhero, just movie in general, is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie is so special to me. I absolutely love this movie, and I watch it all of the freaking time. I watch this movie when I'm sad. I watch this movie when I'm happy. I watch this movie when I want to have a fun time, when I want to laugh. When I'm sick, I watch this movie. I have watched this movie so many times. I remember seeing it in theaters the first time I saw it, and I was just blown away of how good it was, and I immediately bought a DVD copy of this movie, and I've watched it so many times where I just wore the disc out and I had to get another one. This was like my all-time favorite movie of the last 9 years. This movie is so good. Not only are all the characters balanced and they're all developed and you invest into each and every one of them, but the action is good, the story is good, it feels unique and different. It's this space sci-fi journey that feels detached from Earth. The music is also really good and helps it stand out. James Gunn's unique style is just perfect, I think, for me, and the humor lands for me. I think that for me, I know comedy is subjective for everyone, but to me, I think this is the funniest MCU movie. I mean, the reason why I go back and rewatch this movie over and over and over again is because it just has everything that I want to see and feel in a superhero movie. It's fun, it's exciting, it's emotional, it's heartfelt. It's got the action, it's got the humor, it's got the characters, it's got the story, it's got the world building, it's got the music. It has everything that I just love seeing, and this is why I go back and watch this movie so many times. And I will never stop loving this movie because it has a special spot in my heart, and I'm just gonna rewatch it more and more times because it's that good to me. I loved it right from the beginning, and I'm only gonna love it even more. And all of these are reasons why I love this movie so much and why it's my most rewatched movie of all time. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Please like and subscribe for more superhero content and share your thoughts of my top 10 most rewatched movies. Let me know what yours are down in the comments below. You can find some of my other videos right over here, and be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more superhero content and updates. But for now, thank you so much for watching and stay super.